Welcome to Year Endless. I am your host, William Ginsberg, joined by my co host, Courtney Chappell. On Year Endless, we delve into musical and personal history by diving into best of lists from print and online publications through the years. This week, we start back with part 9 of our look back at Blender Magazine's 100 Greatest Indie Rock Albums of All Time. And we start with Sleater-Kinney with their album Dig Me Out from 1997 on Kill Rock Stars. I think 3 minutes about Sleater-Kinney being amazing.
This is a well-deserved spot. This is a timeless album and band, although they continue to make albums, and I actually cannot speak to those. I have not listened to them. But when we think about this album, a lot of these songs, these were early songs, and that even some of the recordings, I think, were made when they first got together in Olympia, Washington. We should mention, I love Olympia, Washington. I've already talked about the fact that I lived there for a little while. They're named after a street that I used to drive past all the time because I was a canvasser. It was 1994 when they formed. So they named their band after this Sleater-Kinney Road. It's like a highway. I don't know. It's not. It's like off the interstate, basically. This was, I guess, their second album, right?
Their third album.
Their third. Thank you. You may have. I'm going to let you jump.
Okay. Yeah, it's their third album. Seemed like it could have been their second just because that's their first album is the least known. Until researching for this episode, I did not realize they had an album before their second. I ended up listening to it. It is good. But Sleater-Kinney was formed out of 2 different Riot Girl bands, Heavens to Betsy, which was Corin's band, which she's the singer for, and Excuse 17, which was
Eric Brownstein.
As a younger generation, I think my introduction to her was from Portlandia.
Portlandia, of course.
The great
Portlandia
show. Very funny. Sleater-Kinney is a band that shifted over time, developed over time, and they kept up quality of the band, at least through their original run. Finally, I did listen to the precursor bands, and you can hear bits of what would become Sleater-Kinney. It's not all the way there yet. I think it needs the 2 of them together to really go into overdrive.
The overlapping vocal melodies, they're just untouchable. They're
yes.
They're a
and this was their first album with their longtime drummer. Before this, I don't remember who the previous drummer was. It's the first one with Janet Weiss. Before that, it was Call the Doctor. It was Laura McFarlane.
Okay.
Who was also on the drums for the debut Sleater-Kinney. This was the first release on Kill Rock Stars. Previously, they were on Chainsaw Records, which was started by Donna Dreich. Yeah, out of the zine that she published, Chainsaw. Part of Riot, but also on like queercore as well, which I've been learning more about because I've been reading the oral history of it, which is pretty interesting as far as how these things developed and changed, and I guess finding out which bands I can vibe with and which ones I think don't. Yeah. I mean, they can admit which one of their bands are not very good.
I never listened to Heaven to Betsy or Excuse 17, and you recently listened to it.
Yeah, I was looking at the so this is a audio podcast, so this won't show up, but I do have Dig Me Out.
Right, yes.
And it has the mail order.
Oh, wow.
The Kill Rock Stars mail order. And so I was finding out bands from there, and like, oh yeah, they were in the old way of finding bands inside of the insert. So we've talked a little bit about zines previously. What's your personal experience with zines in the 90s?
I have an extensive history, and there's a pretty thriving zine scene in Asheville, North Carolina, where we lived. So when I was in, I guess, 8th grade, my friend came to school wearing a baby doll dress, and she had like a little suitcase full of all these incredible mail order zines, mostly from out west. That's where we got a lot of our stuff. Original Riot Girls. There were zines from Miranda July. Oh, the name, I can't remember the name of her zine right now. I had a copy and I can't find her right now. But anyway, I've been collecting zines for a very long time. Aaron Comet Bus was living in Asheville for a while. As we've already mentioned, Cindy Crabb, a good friend of mine, is living in Asheville. And zines have their roots in kind of comic books and self-published fanzines, right? What we think of now as edits on TikTok. We're kind of like, we call them fanzines, and they were made by hand. You would cut out pictures or draw pictures, and you would go to Kinko's and you would steal one of those keys that so you could have infinite amount of copies, or you would know someone at the Kinko's and so you could get limitless copies, and people would self-publish these little magazines. And Riot Girl was very much tied to this practice of confessional but also political writings rooted in kind of feminism and cultural critiques and stuff like that. Anyway, zines.
Yes. In the book, they mentioned the importance of Xerox and the ability to copy in that way. That was a big technological development that helps the process of sharing this information and these like thoughts. But yeah. So as far as the Slater Kinney discography goes, is this your favorite, or do you have a different one that you prefer?
I like Call the Duck. So
I mean, it can be hard to
I
pick
don't
sometimes
know. It's
because
hard for me to say because I can't tell you. I couldn't tell you.
okay. I think my favorite is All Hands on the Bad One.
I know I was going to say that one too. Yes,
Um,
which was 5 years later. I guess it's not that much later, but it felt kind of like later.
I mean, it's a different world by that point. Yeah.
Totally. But dig me out. I mean, would not have chosen this one as
It's the one I have less. I've listened to less. I think I only got it a little bit later.
yeah.
Reformed in the 2010s. I meant to go through all of it and also listen to the newer ones because I've heard differing things, but I haven't heard it myself, so I can't say for certain. But I've heard maybe not quite as good. Which I mean, it would be hard to do because of
Yeah.
the quality. More recently, Janet Weiss was fired from the band, so that kind of harshes people's opinions of it because it's so. I mean, they're connected, with this being a trio, been together for so long, though, and that like her drumming was like important to it.
So she was fired. I'm like, I want to know the
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know this
Um.
story.
Yeah. Let me see what year it was. Okay, so I mean, the way it's worded on Wikipedia it's 2019. Announced via social media that Weiss would be leaving the group and would not be joining their upcoming fall tour. Weiss said the band was taking a new direction and that it was time for her to exit.
Okay.
Yeah, so that could
Something.
take something. Yeah, I know there's gossip around, what the reason might have been. Not for me to say. Yeah, let's read the blurb. Riot Girls show the dudes how to kick butt and mean it. As pissed as the Clash and as joyously poppy as the Go-Go's, the Portland, Oregon trio had more faith in the world remaking power of rocking out than any band in the 90s. In a time when slacker irony was all the rage, Screaming Demon, Corn Tucker's fiery passion made the cool kids look cowardly.
That
Yeah, I mean,
they
with
sure
all
did.
of the.
I want to say something, but I don't. I feel like I'm not informed enough, but also it's controversial. I don't know, but it's a strong statement. But I think they're the best of the Riot Girl bands. Is that maybe that's not
I think I would agree with that statement. I mean,
okay.
I'm listening to more of the Riot Girl and more of the queercore bands I can maybe compare, but I mean, as
Yeah.
far as like of all the albums they've released, the quality of them,
I
the
mean,
developments, I mean, also the recording quality too, like the production quality also.
totally. That's
Yeah, so I think
that's
I
a
mean,
bold statement of the.
yeah, I mean, they also went beyond because I think some other bands are only within the context of Riot Girl,
Hmm.
while Sleater-Kinney can also be heard in other contexts of just like indie rock and female fronted indie bands,
Right.
kick ass bands.
Yeah, kick-ass bands, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 18 on this list has 2 typos for the
Noticing that.
It's Joy
Unquan
Division,
for the pleasure.
Unquan Pleasures, and it's also the wrong year.
Oh, it sure is. Good.
Yeah, that would be really weird. That would be crazy. Joy Division sounds ahead of its time when it came out. 79.
Right.
It listed 1971, but it's 79.
Yeah.
I guess they just pressed the wrong number. Yeah, on
They did
Factory
form in
Records.
76, which is really early. Like that's when they got together.
Yeah. I mean, within the context of the first wave of like punk bands,
Right.
one of the seminal post-punk bands, and
Started as the band Warsaw. They were Warsaw, and then they changed their name, and then the same lineup became Joy Division. And as we've discussed later, that became New Order after the passing of Ian Curtis.
yes.
So, Unknown Pleasures. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. The listener who just held up the iconic album and the record. You got the record. You've got for those
so
of
it kind
you
of so it's the waves to make like looks like mountains within the waves. I kind of forgotten how small that is on the cover.
Me too, because you see T-shirts with that blown up, and there's memes or whatever about like your neighborhood's getting gentrified when you see this T-shirt and it's that. But I forgot it's so small too.
I mean, I love this album, love the band. I was re-listening to it, and particularly on the vinyl. It's been a while since I listened to it on the vinyl, and I mean, musically, it's so. And mostly a lot of times focused on the on the singing, but the music is so good.
Oh, so good. So many just driving hits. Yeah, Disorder is one of my favorite. How long is the album? It's kind of short.
It's like 40 something, I think. I think it's like 40 something minutes.
Yeah, really packed in.
Yeah, it's only 10 songs. Famously or to people, it's like a depressing album or a depressing band. I mean, I definitely understand that. It's also so beautiful as well.
Well, and so kind of danceable in a way. Like
I mean, there is a song from the 2000s, "We Dance to Joy Division."
And this is really one of 2 albums we should name.
Yeah, they only have this one, and they have
Closer, yeah. Do you have a favorite?
Definitely, I prefer Unknown Pleasures.
Yeah, that's your favorite. I just love Isolation as a song so much, but I also like Unknown Pleasures. You're right.
Closer has a atrocity exhibition.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, which named after a J.G. Ballard book, and it was later used for the title of the album by the Detroit rapper Danny Brown.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really good. I was re-listening. It's been a couple years since I listened to it, and it really is. It kicks ass.
Yeah. Did you read not to go on a tangent, but the J.G. Ballard book?
I have not. I mean, with like the blurb, do we want to mention the origin of the name, or do we just want to like, is that a little bit too dark for this podcast?
Right. Which part? Because there's a lot of dark things.
Sorry. So the name of the band, do we want to talk about the origin of it, or do we feel like it's
well,
not?
I feel like it's often known. I did a big kind of deep dive into, so it has roots in I think a lot of people know this. Should we?
Yeah. From the Holocaust, from like concentration camps, the like stories of brothels, Jews or otherwise in concentration camps
were used for the pleasure of the Nazi party. And so that's dark, right? And so there's also this question of, is this a band of fascists? And it appears they will all say very much no, they are not. And as people, they're all really nice and seem politically kind of on the left and pretty open. But there was that sort of vibe. They were, but they do kind of elicit this, their imagery is sort of wrapped in that painful part of European history.
I think one thing that a time is that there was still like the use of Nazi imagery to sort of like scare people, the people who weren't necessarily Nazis or fascists, using it to sort of critique it, but sometimes just for shock value. And I think the lesson people learn is that no, like, that's a bad idea because it actually attracts those that you're trying to critique, and that it's not a artistically it's a dead end.
That's
Really,
very
yeah, it has no benefit. It doesn't hurt the fascists.
exactly. It's like yes, that's very, very well said. Also, New Order is a bit of a hearkening to, again, Nazis. So, guys, what are you doing? Please stop. It's annoying.
Yeah,
And another thing about them, not to brighten the mood a little, is apparently as dark as this music was, the guys, the people, and I say guys because, and then later, New Order consists. There's a woman in the band who is Stephen Morris's wife. I mean, they're just there's really lovely people, but they were there was a lot of laughter. They were pretty fun. Everyone seemed pretty happy. Ian, of course, was struggling. The pictures that you see of them in the snow, and they said they would have to like stop themselves from laughing to take this really serious picture for their image, and then they would go back to like, playing and throwing snowballs at each other. They were really young. Anyway, just wanted to put that out there.
looking at the more on Ian Curtis, his vocal style has been copied hundreds of times by different bands.
And he didn't talk like a that it's something that he kind of put on because he talked like this. He was like, "Hey," and then he gets on stage and he's like, "He's lost control again," you know. Part of the thing.
We covered Interpol previously, and that's a band that got the like, oh, they just sound like Joy Division, and then the bands that came after that were trying to sound like Interpol, maybe, got that as well. I mean, I guess it's copyable, it's imitatable, and it's very. It matches with the like darkness of the disconnection and the loneliness
Yeah,
of some of the lyrics.
it's the truth.
Yeah,
The live performances were really compelling. They had such a bright future.
yeah.
They changed kind of the landscape, and we didn't even talk about their producer, the guy. Oh, what's his name? We have to say his name. You can't talk about that guy.
Produced by Martin Hannett.
Thank you. All right. Who passed
Oh,
away? I feel like not that long ago, maybe. Anyway, and here's a guy who used very idiosyncratic recording techniques to change the landscape of recording. And you can see depictions of this in 24-hour party people, but he would have them go out and I don't know, sing in like a bathroom or something and put the drums out on the roof. I don't remember, but he did all these very strange, kind of grueling things to get these perfect sounds that were unlike anything heard before. And there's a whole lore to that as well. The greatest. Peter Hook, just driving bass lines.
yeah, listening to it on the vinyl, you can really, or on the on good speakers, you can really hear all of the interlocking pieces.
Yeah, I
Um,
bet.
so the blurb: most depressing band ever to use the word joy in their name, in keeping with their moniker. Well, we already mentioned those other parts. Joy Division frontman Ian Curtis played out in every man's flailing attempt to find human worth and connection in an emotional wasteland. Yet despite the menacing metallic echoes, the band's melodic drama made his Kafka-esque squirming positively heroic. Wallowing was never so inspiring.
Yeah.
I heard a cover of one of their songs before I ever actually heard Joy Division.
Oh, which one?
Shadowplay was covered by the Killers.
Oh, okay.
It definitely does not sound as good, of course, because Brandon Flowers, their singer, cannot, reach that kind of the sound of like the sadness with it. Like we had the apparent sadness in Ian Curtis vocals.
Right.
It was good to get an introduction to it. To eventually, to later on find. Oh, I heard this cover of this. Oh, this is there's this band out there. Oh, this is so good.
Uh,
Moving to number 17 on the list,
mhm.
we have the band The White Stripes with their 2001 album White Blood Cells. So it's the highest of the garage rock revival on this list.
Definitely.
This is their breakthrough album.
Yeah.
I mean, they had previous albums that were really good, but that people really hadn't heard until they just broke them out.
So this is the breakout album.
Yeah, it's the breakout album. Their breakouts and the breakout songs, like "Fell in Love with a Girl." I mean, I guess you can go first. I have a lot of notes to talk about the White Stripes with.
Okay, yeah, because mine is just basically opting out because I really like them, but missed them completely. But I like everything I hear, but I don't know that much, and I figured you would have a lot to say, so I didn't really look that much.
Okay. On this album, the touring behind it is that their live performances and like the visuals of the white and the red. It's a duo.
It's a duo,
Yeah, they
yeah.
have. Yeah, along with the "Fall in Love with a Girl" video, which if you haven't seen it, you can pull it down.
Oh,
Look
yeah.
at.
Okay.
It's a hit with kids too because they use Lego video, and it's. I think it might be a false memory, but I believe I saw the video because I think they played it on Cartoon Network when I was a kid. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. It's one of the only songs I can listen to over and over again. Partly because maybe it's so short, but also so fast and so much to it. But yeah, it's on this album. It's drums, it's guitar, it's very simplistic drumming.
Yeah.
A little bit of piano, and then excellent songwriting, and like some classic kind of songwriting. It's Jack White and Meg White, husband and like ex-wife, but like they kept it kind of like some sort of things. Oh, they're like siblings, or oh, they're together. It's very a little bit weird.
He took her name, right?
Yeah, he took her name. His name was like a Polish name, like very long. It's a great last name, and it also image wise. Oh yeah, it's the White Stripes. It's Jack and Meg White.
That's right.
So it plays off. I mean, we talked about family bands before.
Yeah, family bands, totally.
Part of the garage rock revival, biggest act coming out of it, along with the Strokes. They're in the tradition of their Detroit band, Detroit garage, of the Stooges, MC5.
They're from Detroit. That's right.
Yes,
that's a huge.
Also influenced by like the earlier blues of like the electric blues.
Yes.
So like Son House and John Lee Hooker.
Right.
In the vein of previous generations of indie as well, but also not really sounding like any indie band that I had like previously heard. They have songs that are kind of like twee, but the quality of Jack White's guitar and of puts it above of those bands really. People like insult Meg White's drumming because it's not advanced, but it's rock music. It's rock and roll. Like there's more to rock than just technique.
And Shane, my husband, was talking about very economical, but it's pretty brilliant the way it serves the music. I think now that's being kind of rethought about that she really contributed. Again, I haven't really sat down and listened to them, so I wish he was here to speak on this. I think that her drumming is being appreciated more now.
And I would agree with that. Yes.
People wish she would come out of retirement because she won't.
No, she won't. Yeah, from everything, they're probably never reuniting. Jack White's continued with music, in the music space.
They look so sick. They both just look so just kind of trashy, which I love about them. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess so, yeah.
Like I do today. The dark circles in their eyes. It's like go outside. Very low vitamin D. Just average looking people, which is kind of cool.
I think that's it. The mention is that they're like real people.
Yeah.
Who are playing music that they're playing. Like, you can see it, and it sounds like what they're doing. Like there isn't all these things that are obscuring the connection. If you saw them on stage and you heard them on the record, like, oh yeah, this is what they're doing. This is how it's being played. After an era of overproduction in the late '90s, it's a breath of fresh air. I think this is one of their best albums. I was looking; it was recorded very quickly and written very quickly, and maybe some of the later songs might be kind of on the edge of filler, or just maybe could have used some more time. But it was like an intentional choice to give some of that nervousness of like an early draft, like an early version. even so, there are still so many classics. Alone with the Girl, Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground, The Union Forever. Yeah, even the more on the edge of filler songs are still like something fun to them. I think this, along with Elephant, are their best albums, but I would say everything has something going for it. I mean, the first album is the most rudimentary, which is the self-titled. Decigi is close, is on the edge of do it with this album, and it's like quite good. And then Elephant is their bringing in more classic rock, and while also playing better, and like the songs are probably overall better. And then it has Seven Nation Army, which is one of the most played songs in the world because it's played at all these sporting events, all like everywhere basically.
Yeah.
And then what's the next one? I mean, maybe that one might have the what's that one called? And then their final album, Icky Thump, is also a fun album as well. Oh yeah, Get Behind Me, Satan was the album between there.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I guess one thing, it's not super important, but it is something. This is one of their only albums without any covers on it.
Oh.
Because they would have a smattering of covers, which they did good stuff with. I mean, that they find a new way of interpreting it.
Like Sunhouse, like old, like who would they cover if we can?
Yeah, I mean, there's some covers of like female artists. I mean, they on their last album they covered Conquest, which is like old country song. Let me see some other ones that are covers. They covered. Oh, I just don't know what to do with myself as a cover. This Stitchy. They covered. Yeah, they covered Death Letter, which was a Sunhouse, and they also covered Your Southern Can Is Mine, which is another old, a Blind Willie McTell song. And then on their debut, self-titled, they covered Don't Stop Breaking Down by Robert Johnson, Cannon by Sunhouse, as well as a Bob Dylan song, and then also traditional songs. Yeah, the first one has the most covers. So here's a music critic about their experience at the time of seeing it. I was at the Bowery, which is like a venue in New York City. It was just the two of them. They did not stop between songs, and they were not fucking around. They played fast and kept doing it without sort of hemming and hawing, and there was that intensity and that enthusiasm. Yeah, I mean, I also have some personal memories for listening to this band, particularly like late high school and then in early college, because like my first year roommate was a massive White Stripes fan. So we'd listen to the band, also talk about it, and sort of like
I'm looking about Meg. She's just living her best life.
Jack White recorded, even during the time the band recorded the Raconteurs, but also later on did like the Dead Weather with the singer of the Kills, and then his solo albums, which I've not really listened to.
Not the Killers.
Kills, which I've listened to some I like, but yeah, I would like to maybe do a deeper dive on the Kills.
Yeah,
that's really one of the great bands, and
they are. Yeah. I mean, everyone loves them, and I love them too. I just haven't. I don't know why. I was just like, this is too much right now, and I've got to listen to Joy Division for the million.
Next, the blurb: minimal band, maximal sound. Jack and Meg White's third record transformed them from garage revivalists to saviors of rock. Its secret is that it aims high, Jack trying for nothing less than a place in the classic rock canon, and they pull it off with the absolute economy of means they picked up from Electric Blues.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm liking their little blurbs more and more as we go.
Yeah, as they
get to their favorites.
Yeah, and there's less kind of like snide or like snarky or sexist little sides. So number 16 on this list is the band Slint with their second and final album, Spiderland, from 91 on Touch and Go Records.
They are number 16. I don't argue, I don't dispute this, but wow. Yeah, what do you think of Slint?
So I do enjoy it. Back when I was first trying to get into it, I had like a bad copy that I downloaded, and like the first song was completely too loud, and like that kind of threw everything off because I wasn't sure if that was intentional, and I was like, why is this unlistenably loud?
Like Pavlov, it sort of primed you to not.
Yeah, because it was just absolutely as if it was being played at top volume on the iPod. Normal sort of threw me off from listening to it at the time. preparing for this list, I've listened to this now a couple of times, and because I understood the legacy, and I listened to it more, I'm like, oh yeah, it's really important in post-hardcore, but also the development of post-rock and math rock.
Yes.
You can hear the sounds that would become these later genres broke up like before it was released even,
Right.
which is pretty wild.
It's interesting because I discovered them and I was like, this is amazing, but they have a very limited catalog, so that was disappointing.
It was only this and Tweez that those are the
Yeah.
only two albums.
And Tweez was recorded by Steve Albini, but I don't know if Spiderland was actually.
It was not, no, but Steve Albini gave it a very good review for I think for Melody Maker. They did a special review for them. I tried to find it. I didn't find it. I mean, he saw it as a big improvement. It was on Touch and Go. Yeah, important indie label that we've touched on with when we talked about Big Black.
Touched and gone on.
Yeah, Touch and Go. This is a Kentucky band, which I don't think it's the first. It might be I think it's the second probably Kentucky band, because we did talk about, is Will Oldham from Kentucky?
Oh man, I don't remember, but it is. Yeah, Louisville is a weird place. I went there a few times, and I mean it's a big city. It's like I think it's the size of Atlanta, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, yes, it's not that many bands from there. Now I need to know if Will Oldham's from there.
He is. Yeah, I looked it up.
Okay, cool.
He was friends with the band actually.
Okay.
You could check the photo on the cover, the iconic photo of the band in like a quarry lake, because the cover for their first album was actually taken. The photo was taken by Will Oldham's father.
Oh.
Apparently, the reason they broke up was because of the repression of the singer, one of the guitarists. But he ended up playing with Will Oldham during Palace Brothers.
Oh, there's a whole little mini documentary about them on YouTube that I might want to watch, actually.
Yeah, I wish I had known about it
Did you watch
a little bit more. I haven't watched. I wish I had known about it. I always like watching the documentaries.
Yeah. My first thought is, I'm like, number 16, they're not better than Fugazi, but they really did. They had a huge influence on, I mean, they were early on. They were around that same time that.
Yeah.
I always pair them though, because it's that minimalist, stripped down, very rhythmically driven, not atonal exactly, but it's not saturated melody exactly. And I always kind of couple them in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I heard for one of them. I can't remember which song it was. I mean, there's very few songs on this album. I think it's the least songs that any band list. It's only 6 songs, but it's under 40 minutes. Which, yes, the songs are on the longer side, but they develop as they go, and then there's little shifts. Here are some Fugazi, but where Fugazi went, really, it sounds like they influenced later Fugazi.
Yes. Maybe that's because it was how it was introduced to me. It's like, you like Fugazi, you'll love them. And I was like, yay, another band like that. And I was like younger. And then I was like, oh, but they don't have very much music. And then anyway, but this is really an important album to very many people.
And then the vocal delivery is very interesting. There's a lot of kind of spoken word talking, like not even like, because we've done a lot of speak singing. This is not even speak singing. This is just spoken word.
Right.
But it works with the music, and because there are parts where it's a little bit more screamy. A lot of it's the lyrics, when there are lyrics, are spoken word. When the lyrics came last, they wrote the lyrics while in the studio. There's stories, some of them. I'll read the blurb and then we can probably move on. They practiced until they got very skilled and apparently quite depressed. Mathematic time signatures, uncool. A song about a depressed sailor based on Coleridge's The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, mega uncool. Unless you're Louisville, Kentucky Slint, whose naughty, amebic tempos and steely guitar rumble engulf their songs' distraught heroes.
I don't know if it's not cool. I don't know if it's uncool.
To put it things in weird time signatures. It can be uncool if it's really, you can go too far with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's true. I guess you're right.
Yeah,
but it works.
But yeah, they make it cool. They for them.
It did.
Cool. Number 15 on the list is the band X with their second album, Wild Gift, from 1981.
Yes, X.
Yes.
I mean, iconic. It's like hard to even know what to say except for bravo. It's interesting. Many people would say kind of proto Riot Girl, or just this is an iconic band. They're called X. It is the letter X. They got it first. This band is, I mean, what have you prepared to say about them? I got overwhelmed. Well, it's X. It's the,
I've listened to Los Angeles more than this album.
yeah,
Listening to this,
I don't know this album that well.
yeah, it sounds a lot like it. I mean,
Decline of Western Civilization. I mean, this is the premier
yeah,
California.
watching them, they're one of the premier Los Angeles punk bands
Yep.
in like the early punk scene in Los Angeles. Yeah, and they're one of the main bands in the documentary, along with like Black Flag, like the Germs.
And
Um,
XZ, of course, is the lead singer. Let's just see.
yeah, Exene as well as John Doe, the other
John
singer.
Doe, right? Such
Um,
punk names and
yeah,
icons.
and then Billy Zoom, the other guitarist who has. So I actually watched that documentary the first time with my mom, and she doesn't point out that Billy Zoom looks like just like a handsome dude, like a normal kind of guy, pretty much. Like he just looks like he kind of doesn't quite look like he fits.
Yes.
It's that very rockabilly, like early.
Yes, early rockabilly. That's something to note. That
Yeah,
there's something kind of
like the rock and roll sound before it got
Mhm.
watered down or
Speaking of
reforming.
which, why are the Cramps not on this list? I think there's a lot of people we can go back and be like,
I feel like because sometimes for some of them, because there are some punk bands on this list, but I feel like I guess they sort of pick and choose which ones they feel indie and not just punk. And then a lot of those punk bands technically weren't on indie labels. My favorite song is still probably Johnny Hit and Run Pauline. They have a darkness in their songwriting, which is very punk, very exciting.
it
Oh no,
is energy.
yeah. Yeah, that is something I do enjoy about the dark, kind of like the darkness too of the stories. I'm kind of surprised Suicide isn't on this list. Sorry to like spoil the top 10 of the song.
No, I know we're getting into that like 11th as we come down to the end.
As I coming down, it feels more like, oh wait, so this band isn't on there. What?
Yeah, I agree.
For some, there'll be a time with the future list that I feel like will be more just punk centric.
Totally.
Come off kind of like quirky, a little bit like off as far as like John Doe and Exene. They come off a little bit kind of weird. I mean, I met people like that, so it's like I'm not like unfamiliar with that kind of vibe. It definitely makes Billy Zoom seem even more normal. For the blurb, Los Angeles punks make a record that feels like a great pulp novel. Thrift store poets in black leather jackets, singer bassist John Doe and his soon-to-be ex-wife Exene Cervenka set stories of love on the rocks against the City of Angels skeezy backdrop. Billy Zoom's rockabilly switchblade guitar made this heavy subject matter sizzle.
I didn't know they were married. They were gonna be ex. I didn't know. I didn't know all the. I love the gossip.
Yeah. So the next band on this group on this list is the most unique of anything on this list as far as
Yes.
yeah.
What is going on? What is going on? I've been kind of like chomping at the bit. I'm sorry we didn't give X enough time, but what? Okay, yes.
Yeah. De La Soul with their album 3 Feet High and Rising, which I did not realize until looking it up more is actually a Johnny Cash reference.
It's held up a CD. I didn't realize that. What is going on? I saw them. I think it was Horde Fest in Tallahassee, in Florida. I've seen them play. I see why they're on the list. I just don't know why they're the only ones on the list. I don't know what. Yeah, why is this weird to you?
It's not rock. I mean, there are samples that are rock.
There's no non-guitar based music on this list, right?
I mean, I think there's something that's more maybe like synth based.
And there should be.
Because I mean, there is like Magnetic Field, which is really synth based, and there's. I think if there'd be hip hop, I could kind of see something more like Run DMC, which has a lot of that kind of rock sampling.
Not very indie, but not very indie.
We're like around 18 years old. I guess the thing of being different than the mainstream or what was around them, they didn't wear chains. They weren't puffing themselves up. It wasn't macho.
I think of also like Arrested Development, but maybe they're not an indie enough labels. But I also think of
it's also later on and not because I think this is with the breakthrough because like Arrested Development's a couple years later.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, I would see either that because like Tribe Called Quest is also in like part of like the
totally
of that Native Tongues scene along with like the Jungle Brothers.
Right.
So the trouble was it's jazzier than De La Soul. It was a surprise hit because it was different enough from what was before that. Because I wanted the people, this is either going to be a huge hit or it's going to be a massive failure because it was so different than what was out at the time.
Right.
And it became a big hit. It's a lot of records.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, also got the band sued because they clearance for the samples of some of the big songs for it, but not for some of the interlude little samples. So they got sued by like the Turtles and by Steely Dan, which is very lame.
So they were the ones they started.
They were the ones that one of the last groups that was able to do this really artistic with the producer Prince Paul of bring all of these disparate bits together into a cohesive statement.
Yes.
And following this with the law changing, it wasn't a thing anymore. They could like legally
all of a sudden
all of a sudden things had to completely change.
Yeah, it's like
there was still a great hip hop to come, but it was very much along with this in like Paul's boutique. These albums were no longer possible. It was just really too expensive. The lyrics are very quirky. I mean, they're very goofy. It has some skits. Like skits can be really, really stupid and like really ruin or like mess with albums, like the enjoyment of them. But I feel like they're goofy enough and they're memorable. Think of like that it's like a game show at the beginning, which apparently was like one of the last things they added to the album. They're joking about people that they know, and the scene was still pretty small. A lot of these the groups knew each other, like they were like friendly with each other, and like some of them were in the studio witnessing and being on some of it.
Were Diggable Planets? I mean, they know they came.
I think those are in a similar kind of like conscious.
Weren't they all friends? Because they're all New York.
So this was speaking of a lot of the there was like the Queens and the Bronx, but like De La Soul, they grew up in Long Island. They were like some of them were from the boroughs, but they were away from some of the sort of stuff that was going over there. So they were able to develop their own because they were friends in high school, the main two of the group. And they actually
something really sweet about that. I just remember in the 90s, in the midst of lots of darkness and self-importance, they brought kind of levity, but it was also really like well-produced music. They do belong on this list, but it's also, this is a very white list. And so it's like, why is there not more of the variety? There's still some even more sexism and racism in this list than maybe there would be today, and maybe that's progress.
I mean, so as far as the lyrics go, there is one bit a little bit on the edge of sexist. I'm like still like listening. Like I don't know because there's a song Jennifer taught me, which is I mean I find it's hilarious. It's like a story about they meet this girl like in their high school, and they kind of like they sort of like indirect sort of like ways to talk about hooking up with her.
Okay.
So at the end, there's a little bit of like a kind of everyone hooks up with this girl because there's a lot of sexism in music, and there's some sexism in hip hop. But like, so I guess as far on the levels that I go, it's very. If it is sexist, it's very.
But then the misfits are over here talking about raping their moms and killing babies.
Yeah, I mean, there is rap that talks about that kind of stuff. I mean, there is horrorcore. There is. But yeah, Pasta News, True Goy, DJ Maseo, and then with Prince Paul as producer. So young, they were able to like make these jokes, these kind of inside jokes that like that people wouldn't understand, and like Dante's a scrub. Like I don't know who Dante is, but maybe guess he's a scrub. Someone someone they know. And then like on that Jennifer Tommy song, there is Derwin, which apparently was a dirty guy they knew named Derwin, who had no luck with the ladies. Apparently, because he was on this song, apparently it helped be like, oh yeah, I'm the Derwin on the De La Soul album. Seeing some of this extra facts from this book I found out about called Check the Technique, which does sort of like a liner note kind of history of different classic hip hop albums. It's really cool. I'm going to keep digging into this really insightful.
It is really on point.
Yeah, so that's how I heard part of the recording some of the Gorillaz songs, so some like the rap parts. So like Feel Good Inc. is some of the members of De La Soul, and then I can't remember who's on Clint Eastwood. I don't think it's one of De La Soul. Yeah, one of the really unfortunate things is that one of the things that makes it so unique is also one of the reasons why it wasn't available digitally until like 2023 because of all the samples and label troubles. It was harder to clear some of this stuff because there were troubles with the Tommy Boy label. So then it's okay. How do we go through the process of clearing some of this stuff? But then took forever. So like that's why the reason I bought it on CD is because I could not. If I wanted to hear it, it was talked about highly. Like, if I want to hear it, I have to buy it on CD. Or speaking on the CD, like it is kind of tinny to modern ears, to my ears at least.
Okay. I haven't listened to it
It's like I think that I've heard the vinyl is better, which I mean I have been looking at the early vinyls. It's pretty expensive though. I could get one of the newer vinyls of it, which I might end up doing. Because I put it on my CD player on my stereo, and it sounded. I mean, putting it up really loud, it still sounded quite good. I just think I think just on the MP3 and a it isn't enough to like really get the feel. The streaming version, like one of the interlude like sampling mix things was they changed it for it. It's the song "Cool Breeze on the Rocks." For the version they put on the streaming, is that it's kind of a tape, kind of getting ruined, like that kind of sound of a tape, like really like malfunctioning.
Getting eaten.
They call it like melting or something, just because like there was a ton of samples that are like I love that. I love that like kind of deal. I understand why, in parts, why these artists want to get paid for their songs being used.
Right.
But I get it. On the other hand, it's like
also
it's available. It's out in the world.
Kind of.
Yeah, and it's like recontextualizing music and making new music out of old music.
Totally. Can I say something else?
Sure.
I think hippies like this band, and I think it's because of kind of like the psychedelic imagery. But I mean, all my hippie friends in Florida, at least, it was a hippie band. Like it's like I love Fish and De La Soul and the Grateful Dead. Isn't that interesting?
It is interesting, yeah, because there was that sort of thing, and like, oh, they're these like black hippies, and it didn't quite match how they were as people.
Not
like
really hippies. I
It's
think
like, and with the success of some of the singles that were a little bit more on that side, the people like that they reacted hard to it, because their next album is a lot darker. De La Soul is Dead is I mean, from the name of the album you can tell, the darker follow up to that. Like
maybe they were tired of the hippies and they wanted to get them out.
But and then like, there was a story of that because when they toured, the audiences were kind of like, kind of like some of them were like assholes to them, like kind of taunting them, so they didn't really react. They kind of, I heard in the book that reading the book there was like them like beating the crap out of some guy, someone who was like being But yeah, it was recorded for 28,000, which I mean is more expensive than some of the bands in this list, but it's much less than some of the other bands.
Wait, recorded four?
It was recorded for 28,000.
Oh, right. Okay.
Which was for recording costs, sample clearances, and their own advances.
That's a lot for me, but for the other bands, I wouldn't think.
Because I mean, there's some on this list coming up that recorded for for a few thousand, but then there's ones that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Aside from the U.S., the album was also important. Quoting, album was also important because it was the first hip hop album on the international scene. It was the first album to do more than 500,000 units in Europe, way more than even Run DMC. Musically, it was just more accessible to people over there who were rock and roll fans. It just wasn't seen as a dark American rap album. That's interesting to think about, that it like helps the spread of hip hop in Europe. Yeah, so the suburban fans of Johnny Cash and Schoolhouse Rock invent indie rap. As their contemporaries were declaring themselves Hard as Hell, Run DMC, or Planning Revolutions, Public Enemy, these complicated Long Islanders came out of the gate with cryptic jokes and Dayglow flowers, while producer Prince Paul took sampling to obscure new realms. Oh yeah, that reminds me. There's a song in here that samples like a French learning tape.
What?
A French learning tape.
Oh, really? Oh, right. That's great.
I was gonna see a classic early '90s hip hop tour. They were playing in St. Augustine, Florida, but I wasn't able to go after having bought tickets. It was De La Soul, Public Enemy,
what?
Ice Cube,
what?
And LL Cool J.
When was this?
In like 2013.
Wow.
In a sharp, artistically very different, but also very influential, very thought-provoking. Number 13 on this list is a second album on this list from the band Husker Du, with their 1984 album Zen Arcade.
Coming around for a second time.
Yes. And another one that I have on physical.
Yes, that's the premiere. This is the one that we should be talking about. And I just want to say real quick, whatever, it's Husker Du. Okay, don't make us say Husker Du. Like, don't, it's Husker Du, whatever. But anyway, this is a revolutionary album.
Yeah,
What's the
it's one of the best concept albums of all time. One of the best,
yes,
like one of the best rock operas, so to speak. Yeah, there's a story going along, following along it. It's a double album, one of the best double albums of all time.
yes,
Um,
long.
one of the best. Yeah, the Silence List is one of the best indie albums. One of the best post-hardcore kind of post-punk. The songs are great. To go along with all the noise to it, the songs are good songs lyrically from both Bumbled and from Grant Hart. It continues my really thinking of like how much I really enjoy Grant Hart's his songs as far as listening to Skidoo. So he passed away several years ago, but a few years before that, he released a final solo album called The Argument, title shared with a Fugazi album, but it's very strange. It's like a concept album about Paradise Lost, which is like the John Milton telling of like the Adam and Eve and like Eden and like the fall from grace. So quick mini review. I enjoyed it, but like he sang a little bit too much like Lou Reed to me at times, which is I mean Greeley's great and like the songs are great. So I wish he sang more like how he sang on these like couple albums.
Yeah.
There aren't very many songs sung from for the point of view of the stake from that story. And but yeah, overall rock. Yeah, I see why people enjoyed it. Like, well, some of the people who knew about it at the time in like the early 2010s, like
Yes.
reviewed it well. So I did listen to some more Sugar as well, just to give myself more experience with what followed. But yeah, this is their magnum opus. It is their best
Yes.
album. Amazing cover art.
What does it say here? I'm sorry. It's always earlier than I think. But yes,
Yeah,
84.
it's 84, so one of the great years in like punk music and
It
post punk.
is. It is. It was a very synth-driven time in 84, but this is a truly just massive guitar-based concept album, like you said.
Yeah, recorded in only like a few takes. Some of them like on the first take, and that was what we used.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So really, a lot of these were recorded in LA and like Los Angeles and like California. It was really because they were recording on small budgets, and they would come in having prepared what they were going to do on the record and then doing it. Which I mean,
Yeah.
it gives it a more ramshackle feel to it. There may be ways it could be improved, but I mean, it was a time. I mean, there was some great music being produced in the mainstream, but there was also a lot of overproduced craps, overusing of those electronic sounds, still some wet noodle music.
Yep.
Fiery album, telling the story of like a runaway.
He's looking for he's running from an abusive household, which I
Yes.
think speaks largely to our generation confronting like trauma and can we talk about for a second concept albums?
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know,
Go ahead.
okay, well, they don't say why they call it Zen Arcade, and it conjures this image of like Zen being this sort of meditative practice and approach to Buddhism, but arcade being like all about chaos. But I always think about Tommy. He's in an arcade. Tommy by the Who's concept album. Kind of weird, but that's
Yeah,
like
it's an
I don't.
idea
When you
from
think of
a
concept
previous.
albums, don't you think of Tommy? It's like
Yeah, it's one of the ones I would think of. Yeah,
okay, what do you think of when you
and
hear concept album?
I think of like rock from the 70s.
70s rock,
I
totally.
think of
Like soul music and stuff. Like
yeah. So it's like for a punk group to make a concept album is like I mean, particularly at the time was risky. An
very
idea
risky.
that's like, oh, is that too like a mainstream
Heavy.
idea, or is that too old? Like, is that like that lame music idea, or like something that's like from the past that should be like discarded? Because
Yes.
they were a band that like was new, but they also bringing their influences these early influences. So like they had done the full on the fast hardcore, but they got tired of that and moved on. Saw that what was good from this earlier generations that they kind of grew up on before punk rock existed. Um,
Yes.
I mean, because concept albums can go too far and kind of like lose the sort of
Yep.
lose the threat, lose the rock.
You can hem yourself in and then you're kind of limited. Kind of like when we were talking about Illinois, Sufjan, he had to kind of abandon that because it's like, okay, I can't do everything like this. But you're right, 70s, it's like The Wall, The Kinks. It can be, oh, and Rush has a concept album. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
Can be really limiting. It's very risky. But then the concept album is such a beautiful thing. I mean, we think about our rapper that we love, that's the most famous rapper of all time, Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
You think about Kendrick Lamar's.
To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah, and Good Kid, Mad City is concept. Lots of concepts. That story being told, everything being. I mean, that is sort of.
Because one of the issues can be that can the song hold up on their own, or does it only work in context?
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't know this one was a concept album. And again, I haven't listened to them as thoroughly as I should, discovering them kind of later. But that was always the lore. Like, I don't know if I would have known.
This time listening to it, trying to really pick out the story and how the songs connect to the story, because I can kind of hear it and not really connect the different songs to that overarching story. And towards the end, I was really thinking, do these songs, at a certain point, do these songs still connect to it?
Right.
Towards the end, some of the newest Industry, and then Turn on the News. So one thing I was thinking about, because there is sort of the recurring dreams, that it was sort of dreams of that teenager. I was sort of thinking to me that he fell asleep around a TV, and that these later things might be things affected by TV or of the world around him, and that seeping into his subconscious while he's asleep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my interpretation. I don't think that's the interpretation.
When you know there's a concept, it kind of changes the way you interpret the lyrics.
Yeah, the double album, it's on 4 sides. The last side is only 2 songs. You get Turn on the News and then Reoccurring Dreams, which is like really, it's like a really noisy, very long song. The whole thing took about 85 hours. The last 40 hours straight for mixing.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was then the Recurring Dreams is instrumental. There's a couple of songs in here that are instrumental, very noisy instrumental.
Yes.
Yeah, how long is the last song? Because they don't list the. It's over 10 minutes for sure. But yeah, for Recurring Dreams is live to 2-track, no overdubs or funny stuff.
Overdubs, are they funny?
Yeah, there's no overdubs. There's no other manipulation. It definitely sounds. It is psychedelic because it sounds like something that was in the '60s when they were able to really start messing with that kind of stuff. This was done all together, which is, I mean, it's impressive. I mean, it's a trio. I mean, it's only 3 of them making all.
Only 3. That's what I was going to ask. Which is your favorite? So do you like Grant Hart?
I do appreciate Grant Hart more as I listen to it as a little bit older. I mean, because Bob Mould is such a dominating personality vocally too. Like he's afterwards. I mean, with Sugar, he had some of his biggest hits, his biggest best-selling albums. So Bob was the up front while Grant was on the drums, as well as Greg Norton on the bass, background vocals. We have the next 2 groups are also trios.
Yeah.
And we also had Sleater Kinney, which is a trio as well. It's interesting that we have.
Yeah. Is De La Soul a trio too? No.
Yeah, like the main rappers, the DJ and principal on production. Great songs in here. Never Talking to You Again, which I love. Standing by the Sea. Maybe I was listening to that, and this time around, it made me so sad. It's so. And then Pink Turns to Blue, which is a really evocative. They have a lot of evocative song titles, but Pink Turns to Blue, it's you can tell what it's about. So the blurb: Hardcore Warriors dive bomb psychedelic pop, a concept double album about a runaway kid's heartbreak by a hardcore band. This Minneapolis trio's fiery plunge into arty psychedelia was risky, but both Bob Mould and Grant Hart had enormous range of songwriters, and their idea of arty psychedelia was still hammeringly intense. All very true.
Yes.
The final 2 that we'll be talking about today, the final 3 are all on the same label, which speaks to SST during the 80s.
Yeah.
So the next group on this list is Dinosaur Jr. with their second album, their breakthrough, You're Living All Over Me, in 1987. Yeah, and so another thing that these are in common, they're also all in the book Our Band Could Be Your Life.
Right. That refers to a Minutemen song lyric, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Which we're going to get to later.
Yeah, we're going to get to. So
Massachusetts.
Yeah, Massachusetts bands. Jay Mascis, Lou Barlow. Yeah, Jay Mascis, who's from Amherst, Massachusetts. Dad's a dentist, so he was a little bit more upper middle class.
Okay.
While Lou Barlow was from Westfield, which is a more blue collar city in Massachusetts. They started together in a hardcore band called Deep Wound. It wasn't like a particularly great hardcore band. So something that like really kind of conceptualizes it to me is that Jay was originally a drummer. He had learned guitar before, but he had taken up the drums for years. Things shifted with as people were kicked out and bands were broken up and put back together. He missed like the force and the variety of the drums and the power of the drums. And he tried to bring that to the guitar and to
That's
like
why
and
they
like
did
the loudness of it is because of that. After that original band, they reformed without like I think the original singer. They kicked out their frontman. It was like ear bleeding country. Jay brought in a lot of different influences of earlier music.
Right.
Neil Young has brought up a lot. Classic artists like the Stones were big influences in there. He brought it all together. But yeah, early on they were so loud they were getting banned from venues. Different kind of rebellion, but as I talked last week, there's a lot of bad vibes because like, Jay, from all people's descriptions, very emotionally unavailable, not one to like share praise with people.
Right. Kind of a
So
dick.
like, yeah, and like, Lou was kind of like a needier person and needed more emotional validation, which he was never getting. And then, as things got more tense, so he was described as kind of taking on a martyr role of just sort of putting up with everything and just being really overly passive about it. And then like as he got more confident and he met his girlfriend because of one of his songs, actually he wrote the song to try to connect with someone, and she worked at like a college radio and she like connected with her and they got together. But as like that happened, it just became more tense and there was some fighting. At one point on stage, it actually got physical. He was like, being disruptive on the stage as like the bassist. He was improvising ways that like interfered with the song. So Jay actually it was like a physical fight on stage. At the same, all that stuff that like the songs were there's sadness and there's disconnect. So you bring up something from earlier that there's just the sound of disconnection and like they were trying to call a slacker, but like they weren't. I mean, they were too busy as a band to slack really.
Right.
They were sort of tagged with that Gen X label and like the articles about them, particularly because the articles in England really talked up some of that sort of stuff about the band and sort of, oh, he's like so late, like so uninterested in doing things. And but yeah, I mean, because they were constantly touring all that kind of stuff. It's like they did not, and they were influenced by punk. They had been in punk, so they were very DIY. I mean, musically, I mean, they found their sound and they kind of stuck with it, which is sort of like some of the criticism that was sort of put on them until they like really reformed. Which I apparently like I didn't get a chance to listen to all their they were formed in the mid 2000s. The albums are apparently good. They've gotten good reviews. So because they were despite all that stuff that happened, then they reformed. It was the three of them. It was the same trio. A lot of the albums that were on it once because this is their last indie album before they went like on a major, and it became really just Jay recording everything because like I mean he could be the guitarist, he can play bass well enough, and he was a great drummer too. So he was able to be on their major label releases was doing everything. But yeah, influence wise, I mean, they influenced grunge, but they also influenced. I hadn't thought about it, but it's so true of shoegaze.
Oh, right.
And they're touring in like England and like in the UK. Really, like, oh, we could, like this is a thing you can do. People sometimes or artists are just like music fans hear a sound and they've never like really put it together in that way as an option, and really can be really influential. Because yeah, shoegaze was really loud while also being very beautiful too. Oh yeah, it was Murph. Murph was the drummer.
Murph. Okay. Jay is 6'1". I just feel like it's just not a fair fight. It's not like I can think of other bands that have fought where it's okay, who's gonna win? But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm checking. How tall is Lou Barlow?
He's shorter. He's probably like he's not as tall as Jay. This is really important to me.
So I mean, I think the last guy said I might prefer Sabada to Dinosaur Jr.
Right.
And so I listened to a couple more Dinosaur Jr. albums.
Yeah.
And I really like those too. So I think I might still prefer Sabada. They're both really influential indie bands. Totally. Like the mini rock. And are both, really good.
You liked So who's your favorite of the trio? Let's keep that.
I mean, I really do like Lou Barlow's. Like, I do
Yeah.
like his sort of psychological kind of emo and his kind of sometimes atonal, kind of off the kind of noise he brings, like vocally and stuff about sometimes. Actually, so this is my kind of lame claim to fame, but I actually saw Jay Mascis at a coffee shop in Asheville.
Oh,
I didn't say anything to him because I was like, I don't know what I'd say. I double checked to make sure it was him, but I mean, he looks very. There's not many people who look like Jay Mascis, I guess, but like they might be more in Asheville than most places. Long gray. I mean, he's still long hair. He doesn't, honestly, as far as I can go, because I've seen people keep the long hair or like famous people where it doesn't look good, but like it doesn't look bad on him. I don't think. See, I saw him at. It's now Izzy's.
right.
Like the one in West Asheville.
Yeah, that one that was.
It used to be Waking Life, and the Waking Life owners were like creeps.
Yes, red pill.
To anyone who has ever
Yes.
been to Asheville, yeah, they were, yeah.
Google that.
And I don't know if you ever, we talked about something, I'm sure. While I was waking up, I got bad vibes off of that place.
Yes.
Like, it felt off to me.
It used to be, but there's something wrong in it, and I don't know if it. I felt that way before the controversy.
Yeah, I think it felt okay now, but like once, even before anything came out, I just did not feel comfortable there.
No, me neither.
So like some people, so some people, such a surprise. But yeah, I was talking to one of the other someone else who also had the same feeling that it was just off.
Yes.
Second floor, it kind of. I'm not used to having a second floor.
What was that? No, there shouldn't be.
It
It's like
weird.
All of a sudden.
It felt okay. Once it's Izzy, it felt a lot less weird. So
yeah, I still never liked it. I feel like somebody. I wonder what the house used to be.
Yeah, the house thing to it. Yeah, maybe it's. Yeah, I don't know what it was before. But yeah, it wasn't my favorite coffee shop in West Asheville. I mean, I was definitely more of an Odds or Battle Cat.
Yeah.
So there's like a new venue in West Asheville.
Oh, which one?
It's like closer to like, Pizza Mind.
Yeah.
Like,
I think someone played in that. What is that called?
It's like something Indian. It's like an Indian sort of.
No, what you're talking about. The church across the street? Not that one.
I think it used to be the church.
Yeah. Okay, Shane would know.
Yeah, because I was looking at like a band, like an artist touring, and they mentioned it's called Asheville. Like I was like, I've never heard of that venue before. I know some of the venues have changed. You know, some have changed around. I know like the outdoor like one changed names because there was like a lawsuit between Orange Peel and Asheville Pizza and Brewing.
Yes.
So anyone who's not from Asheville, I'm sorry for this entire diversion, but I did meet Jay Mascis, and one thing that was kind of sad. So he was wearing like a brace on his arm.
Oh.
Sort of, I guess, from all of the like shredding he's done over the past. I think it was just from all of the. They mentioned in the book because like it brought back. There was a way to have electric. There was like of shredding of solos because punk is very much not a solos, and indie punk was not a solos kind of genre.
Right.
And he brought solos that didn't have the same stench of wankery to them. They're interesting. There were some solos I can enjoy, like from that era of thrash had some good solos, but like, the sort of more mainstream metal and then like the solos like the 70s were not interesting to me.
It's like no chop. That was what the
punk. Yeah, someone who actually was with the noise and all like the stuff. It brought back the idea that solos can actually be cool.
Yes.
Number 11 on this list is another one of my favorite bands, and it's also another one that I have on vinyl. So
yes. Oh, you did that.
Yeah. Double Nickels on the Dime for Minutemen from also 1984. This album was influenced by Husker Du because they heard that another one of their kind of artistic quote-unquote rival was releasing a double album. So they knew they didn't have a story to put together for it, but they we can just write a ton of more songs, put everything we have, all out there. And they were influenced conceptually by Pink Floyd because one of the early Pink Floyd albums, the members got a side, a vinyl side. So they did something similar where there was a D Boon side, a Mike Watt side, a Hurley side, and then they had sort of the leftovers. They call it chaff. It has 40 something songs, but they're short. They're very to the point. Their songs were short. Originally, it was partially a skill thing that they weren't necessarily originally able to keep this up for minutes, the long minute things. There's not the part that they cut out the boring part or the unnecessary parts, the outros and the solos, and
Right.
they were not trying to be commercial. They weren't trying to be a merch band. Like, they were an art band.
They were an art band.
But like, unlike other art bands, because there's a lot of art bands that are like college educated and maybe had some like more money that they could like fall back, family they could fall back on. Well, like the Minutemen, they were working class.
Yeah.
Out of San Pedro, on the like way outskirts of Los Angeles.
Best friends since the age of 13, like best friends. This is
best friends. Yeah. D Boone fell out of a tree, started talking. It's stories that are well known, but he was like telling all these like funny stories and all this things, and then Mike did not realize until he went into his house that those were like George Carlin bits. They're very intellectual.
Yeah.
Very thoughtful people.
Not pretentious, but like not.
They were not bougie.
No, they're just like, genuinely curious. They have this kind of innocent intellectual curiosity that's just not pretentious at all.
They started playing together way before punk, and they were just playing like cover bands. This was a time they were like the mid-70s. They didn't really at that point the people in St. Pete didn't have like the aspiration that it was even possible to reach the level of the glam bands and the giants. That wasn't even a possibility. So it was really like who could play these covers the best, like who could do like the best job, the most accurate.
Tops. Like here's the thing about them is that these are incredibly skilled musicians. That's one thing that is also just needs to be front and center. Yeah.
They form their own sound because they didn't know what they were doing. It's another like in the book that they didn't realize about like tuning. So they thought it was just like a personal preference of how like tight your strings were.
Wow, I never.
Yeah. So there were years before punk existed. Once they heard punk, they started going to Los Angeles and watching the bands. They tell their own story on History Lesson Part 2. Yeah, punk rock changed their lives. They tell their story quite well.
And they're punk. They are technically punk.
Yeah, they were like hardcore punk. They became like sort of hardcore punk. Again, like Who's Who, they kind of like moved beyond it. Mm-hmm. But like they were an ethical band.
Yes.
They thought ethically, and they lived simply so they loved performing music. They weren't in it for nothing necessarily wrong about trying to make a living, but like there is something to the purity of we want to make enough to survive, but like we want to make great music.
Yes. Shane was interviewed by Mike Watts, by the way.
Oh, that's really cool.
I'll send you that interview. Anyway.
I was into Wire, so I got the idea of these short songs that like these like song fragments. Some of it's funny, some of it like really exciting, some of it's really intellectual. As like a history major, it really spoke to me as well because there's songs that are very like historically based, or like about topics from the past and stuff of like just weird kind of like God Bows to Math is like pretty weird. But the term like using like biblical references in terms in the Tomb of Enoch, the special like cubit, these sort of like archaic political song for Michael Jackson to sing is hilarious. It's really great. I really would love someone. Maybe someone's done it, but someone who's like really good at like singing like Michael Jackson covering that song. But I think of like if we heard mortar shells, we curse more in our song and cut down on guitar solos, and it goes into a guitar solo. And then like number one hit song, I always think of like the Love Is Leaf Like in the back of a winged horse in the sky, pearly gray. Love is leaf like. Come on, baby. Let's go all the way. Our Band It Could Be Our Life is from a lyric from this album.
Yes.
Their most heard songs is Corona because that was used as the opening music for Jackass. So there's people who heard that well before they heard anything or like instrumental. It's there's like a funk influence to it.
Yeah.
As well as the punk and as well as the like kind of like
good.
Yeah, as well as the classic rock as well. Because of those years of playing, even though they started, they were better playing than because they were some of the early punk. They were not really impressed by some of their early punk bands. They appreciated, they were kind of inspired by it, but there were some bands early on that it's because there are people starting from nothing. I think this is by far their best album, just because sometimes it's like harder to understand some of the other ones. And I
Yes.
like some of them. They have some good songs, some of the other albums, the earlier ones. But I mean, this is a band that was cut down before. I mean, this album is a great legacy, but they could have done so much. I mean, D Boon died tragically in a car accident. He was like
And now I want to say
asleep.
they were on tour with REM. They were opening for REM. Which
Yeah,
I mentioned because I'm in Athens, Georgia. And that's, yeah, his last show was actually in Charlotte, North Carolina.
he was with his girlfriend. They were going to go visit her family, and I believe she fell asleep at the wheel.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In the documentary, because I rewatched We Jam Magano, I mean, Mike Watt talks about the time that he kind of felt something, like when it happened. He felt that something had bad had happened.
Oh, they're connected.
You know, they were close friends. They also argued too. They had these massive sort of like arguments, but they're about like it wasn't like it was like also like arguing about points. I mean, one of their album covers is inspired by them like arguing each other.
Yeah.
The other thing to talk about them is they brought back to earlier this episode is that they do not look like rock stars.
No, that's true. Right. That's another.
Their drummer, I mean, he looked like a surfer, which he had been.
D Boon was overweight.
But then Mike Watt looks like a nerd.
Yeah.
I mean, it's played up on the cover. It's like a couple different attempts to get that right. Cover of him driving. It is like kind of car influenced. The title is like of like driving of like automobiles. And I mean, there is a sound on the album of the cars revving their cars. I mean, there are some songs that are not, it's like I don't skip any of the songs, but there's songs that are maybe less important, but still like really interesting too.
Right.
Based off of this album, and I mean, I do enjoy some of the other like Bob Dylan wrote propaganda songs. Love that song. I mean,
I love the title. That's right.
Yeah, some of the covers are not on the CD version, which I kind of because they covered Van Halen, which is not on the CD, and they covered Steely Dan, they covered Creedence. So it was a time, along with them in history, it was a time of punk bands some of the most talented and most forward-looking, or the most ambitious bands took the best parts from an earlier sound. We realized that at a previous time that we covered 11 bands instead of our usual 10. So we're leaving off at only 9 this week. So that our next episode, we'll be able to cover the top 10.
Yes. It's getting drum roll because next week, this is the top 10 ever, according to these random music critics who made this
in
list.
2007.
But they're good. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next time. Until next time, you can reach us at Yearendlesspodcast at gmail.com. All music is courtesy of Shane Parrish. Until next time, for my co-host Courtney, I'm William, signing off from the Tar Heel State.